we know that the scale of shortages that we've got in hospitality is currently running at about 10% of our normal workforce, which is double what we had pre-pandemic. We're short of just about 190,000 staff across the whole of the UK, but it's hitting different parts of the UK in different ways. So particularly acute in London and the southeast, but also the southwest and Scotland, where we've got heavy concentrations of tourism.
And what kind of stories are you hearing from your members as they struggle to keep their businesses going?
Well, we're hearing from our members that they are facing acute shortages across all roles within their businesses, and that actually that is having a direct operational impact on the way in which they can service their guests and keep their businesses open. So we're hearing stories of restaurants choosing to close at certain points of the day, not doing breakfast service, only opening at dinner, only opening certain days of the week, hotels that are not opening their restaurants to non-residential guests. And we're also hearing that people are having to reduce the service level around the guests that they've got. So it is having a direct operational impact at the moment. And most importantly, it means that the staff that are working are having to work longer hours or having to take on additional shifts in order to cover that. And that labour shortage that we've got generally in terms of recruitment, exacerbated by the fact that staff are also having to come out of into self-isolation and are being pinged by test and trace on a regular basis, and so whole teams are taken out of service and have to self-isolate for 10 days. So you've got that driver as well, also exacerbating the labour shortages that we've got because we can't recruit people to fill the gaps in the team members that we've got already.
We're approaching what some people have dubbed Freedom Day. Are you worried? Well, we could potentially see restrictions ease, more people potentially looking to use the hospitality services, and it's already struggling even with a reduced capacity?
Well, we are concerned as the economy reopens that these pressures will get worse, particularly in our supply chain. We know that there is a problem with food supply across the UK with driver shortages, and that will exacerbate as we reopen not just hospitality, but also towards September when schools, universities and offices return to work. You're going to have pressures across that food supply chain. In hospitality itself, where we've got shortages in front of house, as well as in our kitchens across our chefs, we do hope that ending the uncertainty, reopening hospitality fully, removing the restrictions will allow us to give more certainty to teams about hours of work, salary levels, and convince new recruits that hospitality is a stable career. So we're looking forward to Freedom Day on the 19th as being an opportunity to reassure people that hospitality is open. But undoubtedly, these challenges will get worse before they get better as more of the economy reopens. And it's quite clear that thanks to the government's furlough scheme, we have kept unemployment in the UK to a minimum. So we do have a very hot, very tight labour market at the moment, which is a particular challenge.
Some employers I've spoken to are calling for changes to the Brexit immigration rules in terms of they're looking at maybe people in sectors where they're short of trained staff being allowed to come in quickly and stay for longer. Do you feel the government should be addressing the Brexit rules? Could that potentially help solve some of the problems, at least in the short term?
I think there are some steps that the government could take in the immediate term to alleviate this really acute labour shortage we've got as furlough unwinds and as the economy stands up. And then there are also longer term issues that need to be looked at in the round. So first of all, we would ask the Chancellor to end the process by which people can have a second job while they're on furlough, which is stopping people moving across and making those decisions. But also we need to recognise the fact that travel restrictions are preventing many of our non-UK workers from returning to work. We've got 1 in 5 workers in hospitality not returning from furlough. A large proportion of those are unable to do so because they are stuck abroad. We've got a higher proportion of non-UK workers in hospitality. So we need to amend those travel restrictions, allow people to come back with shorter periods of self-isolation, particularly if they're vaccinated. And then I think we do need to look at the immigration regime at the moment. We've had a net outflow of 1.3 million people from the UK up to other parts of the world, and we haven't had those people coming in to fill those gaps. So we would ask the government to extend the current seasonal workers scheme, which only applies to agriculture workers, to the rest of the food supply chain and hospitality, mirroring what's been done in Australia, where they've introduced a COVID recovery visa to allow temporary inflow of workers to sectors of the economy that have been disproportionately hit by COVID and are vital to the economic recovery. And tourism and hospitality are key to that. So we would urge the government to do that for this season, to make sure we can have staff coming in to fill that shortfall, while we look at the longer term solutions to training and upskilling and recruiting UK workers. I think the only thing that I would add is that while we are moving through this process, we would urge the government to amend the test and trace regime to reduce the self-isolation requirements. If we've got vaccinated workers who are still having to self-isolate for 10 days, it will slow down the economy and it will exacerbate labour shortages across it. So a test to release scheme which will allow people to return to work, or a test to remain scheme which would allow vaccinated workers to remain in work throughout the period, would really help to manage this process as the economy starts to reopen and recover.